Big question of the week. Is it too late for me? Greetings, Pasadenans. It is I, your friendly neighborhood Rabbi John Carrier, and I'm here today to talk about Parashat Shemot, the very first parasha in Sefer Shemot of the book of Exodus. And in just a second, we are going to answer that question, is it too late for me? And I don't mean me, John Carrier, but the royal me, meaning you may be asking this question yourself. We'll get to that in just a minute. But first, welcome to the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos like this one and the other great stuff we do with live streaming and whatnot. And if you really don't want to miss a single beat, go ahead and ding that bell. There's a little notification thing down there. You'll get notified every time we drop a new video. So this is the big question I want to tackle this week. Is it too late for me? This is a question I've asked myself. It's a question you may be asking about taking on some big challenge in your life or making a big important change for you or your family. Is it too late? Am I too old? Did I not, go to the right kind of school back in the day in order to make the change in the world that I want or make the change in the career that I want? Sometimes we have these big dreams or these big hairy goals. Maybe there's a big group of people we want to help and we think, I think I'm too old, or I missed my opportunity back when I had it. And this fear, this sort of dismissal of the possibility of change keeps a lot of good people from doing good things, whether it's things for themselves or things for other people that they could be helping. I'm too old, I'm not qualified, I'm not a good public speaker. Talking of which, in this week's Parsha, we see this guy who, let's say, had a couple of different careers. You might know him as Moses. Moses had a promising start. He was adopted into the royal house of Egypt. Pretty sweet gig for a while, but later on down the path, he saw that the people of his household were mistreating these other people that maybe he did or did not know were actually his people, but he couldn't stand the injustice of it, and he put the slap down on this taskmaster. Guy died. Moses runs out of town on a manslaughter rap, and he starts over again in Midian as a shepherd. This is a midlife career change. Prince, fugitive, shepherd. And that goes pretty good. Like, he marries into a very well-to-do family of Yitro, the priest of Midian, also happens to have a good side business in sheep, and lives like an entire life up until this moment where he's chasing a little sheep, I think they're called lambs, into a cave and sees this burning bush. Stop me if you've heard this one. And the burning bush says to him, I need you to go back to Egypt and save our people. My people and your people. They are still back there. They've cried out, and I've heard. And if you haven't gotten the drift, this is God talking out of this burning bush. And Moses says, no. Can you imagine getting a job offer from God by way of a burning bush and be like, I could get this on a couple of levels. I mean, this was scary, right? This was going back to face down Pharaoh, the most powerful man in the world, and not ask him for to waive a parking ticket, but to free an entire people. And second, Moses was like, I am not a public speaker. I am slow of speech, and I am not your guy. But the third thing, and the thing that we forget about this story, is that at this moment, Moses is 80 years old. It doesn't say it right at that moment, but if you do the math, he dies when he's 120 and they spend 40 years in the wilderness. He's approximately 80 when he's asked to make this big career change for this big, hairy task that he's got in front of him. And when you think about it that way, of course he's going to say no. He's like, I have lived a whole good life. I do not need this trouble. But then God convinces him, and he goes back and he starts, let's say, his third career, if you don't count being a fugitive. Prince, shepherd, leader of the redemption. And he starts it when he's 80. Now, I get midlife career changes. I was about 33 when I decided that I wanted to be a rabbi someday. And I think by the time I was a rabbi, I was 39, and later than most people do it, I think. And my inspiration was always Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was a rabbi of the Talmud, and he was possibly one of the best teachers, one of the most beloved teachers in all of the Talmud. And he was illiterate until he was 40 years old, but decided one day, I want to learn Torah, I want to be a scholar. And he sat down in kindergarten in one of the tiny chairs between the little people, and he got started that way. And it says by the time he passed, he had something like 24,000 students. That was my inspiration to take on something at a time where most people have already sort of figured out what they wanted to be when they grow up. What this parsha says to me is that anything is possible at just about any age. And if you have a big change that you want to make in your life, if you want to have a big change in how you contribute to other people's lives, but you're concerned that maybe you're past the expiration date of when that could have happened. Remember, one of the greatest teachers of the Talmud was 40 before he learned how to read. Abraham was 75 when God first started talking to him. And Moses was 80 when he took on not only the most important mission of his life, but I'll say a pretty important mission to my life as well, because there wouldn't be Jews if he didn't do that at the age that he started. And if you're concerned about the details, Moses had the same question. I'm not a public speaker. God's like, ask your brother. Your brother will speak for you. Whatever stage you are at, wherever you're coming from, if you're worried about how you're going to make progress, feel free to ask for help. All you have to do is set your intention in the right direction, and you will be amazed at the people who come out of the woodwork to help you. This has been my experience through life, and it is confirmed in this week's Torah portion, Parashat Shemot. So the answer to this week's big question, is it too late for me? It is never too late to get started, especially if you're willing to ask for help. If you have questions about anything else in this Torah portion or just life in general, feel free to put those in the comments below. I'd be delighted to continue this learning with you. If you have a big dream, but you're not sure if you're ready or if the time has passed for it, feel free to put that in the comments below as well. If you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It has been my great joy to learn Torah with you this week, and until next time, Pasadena, peace.